Randy, focus. He's wide awake, blinking his eye. Good head tone. Turning his head. Oh, he's really awake. He's going to be a good one. He keeps on turning his head to. He has good tone in the right upper extremity.
This monkey, with electrodes fastened to her chest and tubes inserted into the base of her skull and down her throat, has been inflicted with severe brain damage. She has 4 electrodes bolted into her head, from which tubing descends to what the experimenters describe as a stab wound in her neck. She is one of hundreds of primates who have been injured and killed in the laboratory you're about to visit. In the next few minutes, you will see practices defended by the University of Pennsylvania, where experimenters inflict repeated head injuries in baboons. What you are about to see and hear is all footage the animal researchers took themselves. It offers only a glimpse of what the taxpayer pays for but is never allowed to see. Aside from my voice, the voices you will hear belong to the experimenters themselves. The rock music is theirs.
Balloon B-17T, a stellar trained monkey for, it's all going to be dubbed later, for thrust in the lateral position. The animal, as you can see, moves normally. He is off anesthesia. He is potted in a helmet. There is an endotracheal tube in place. He has the usual monitoring for ICP, EEG, somatosensories, etc. The animal weighs 6.9 kilos.
Here, a researcher attempts to cut some tubing and handle a struggling baboon who has regained consciousness. Poor handling results in a fluid, perhaps acid, being spilled on the animal.
This makes my day. Some of these guys are just...
Why don't you put him in the fucking goddamn cage?
I'm working on it. I'm trying to get, would you cut this? I'm trying to cut this damn thing. What was it? Huh?
Acid.
Are you serious?
It's gonna eat your balls off.
Oh, my little baby, his eyes are wide open. I'm ready to take you up to your cage.
You want to get some documentation on film?
No, he's lifting his head. Yeah. Come on, baby. We better get some nitrous.
This is electrocautery, a painful procedure for an unanesthetized animal. The experimenter acknowledges that the animal is lifting his head and needs nitrous, yet he continues to cut into the monkey's head while the animal responds to pain, a violation of the NIH guide in such procedures. The researcher then cuts in the wrong place.
It hurts him, for Christ's sake.
No, but you got is make a little slit in the periosteum and push it back.
Yeah, but it bleeds. This is months. You got this stuff to control the bleeding, you know?
That's what the bone is for.
This federally funded head injury clinic receives approximately $1 million tax dollars every year and is now in its 13th year. This baboon has suffered the infliction of severe brain damage, and she may receive as many as 5 more head injuries in the next 9 months before she is killed. In the next sequences, you will see how she was injured in a hydraulic type of device called the Pen 2. It took these researchers 10 years to develop the Pen 2. About to be injured, this baboon is strapped down to the operating table. His ankles and wrists are bound with canvas straps. His head is cemented into a metal helmet and will be thrust at a 60-degree angle at a force of up to 1,000 Gs. A force of only 15 Gs can kill a human being. You will see the baboons as they struggle and grasp at their restraints, showing clearly that they are partially and sometimes fully conscious and aware. The stated purpose of these experiments is to simulate auto crash, football, and other sports injuries. Among those who have stated publicly that the baboons are fully sedated and feel no pain are Dr. Thomas Langfit, the principal investigator at the Head Injury Clinic, University of Pennsylvania spokesperson Virgil Renzulli, the Director of Stroke and Trauma for the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Michael Walker, the Executive Director of the American Physiological Society, Dr. Orr Reynolds, and the Chairman of the University of Pennsylvania's Animal Care Committee, Dr. Musha Shalev. Their statements are in direct contradiction to the researchers' formal submissions to NIH. Those documents state that the baboons are unanesthetized up to 1 hour prior to injury, during injury, and immediately thereafter. These animals were given the hallucinogenic drug phencyclidine, also known as PCP. Phencyclidine is not a painkiller. An animal under its influence can experience panic when exposed to noise.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2,
2, 1.
It's felon, too. Nobody knows that, though.
Was guilty by means of insanity, right?
As you can see, the monkey is very active. He's patiently waiting to be injured.
So it's playing now.
Okay, guys, you,
1 second. The animal is now in position or about ready to sustain an injury.
yeah, 25.
As you can see, he's very active with normal motor functioning. He's quite agitated also.
This baboon was so agitated that he rolled over a total of 5 times before the researcher taped him to the table.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. The animal has just sustained his injury.
Baboons, rhesus monkeys, and even chimpanzees have been brain damaged over the past decade in Generali's laboratory, sometimes in devices such as this. Here, a monkey is yoked by the neck inside a water-filled tank. His only contact with the outside world is a tube down his throat, through which he must breathe to keep himself from drowning. The tank was rocked repeatedly and violently about to inflict brain damage. This brain-damaged baboon, whose reflexes are being crudely tested on a desktop, has survived 1 injury so far.
All right, as you can see, this is a generally comatose monkey. This is B22. exactly 24 hours after injury. As can be seen, the animal was having these rhythmical locomotion type movements. He moves all extremities well. There's no obvious deficit. The coordination is definitely off. When you put the animal on his belly, you'll see an attempt to right. He'll attempt to right himself.
Is that in focus?
Yeah.
Yes, sure is.
The animal has both eyes open, as can be seen.
Beautiful shot. Beautiful.
He wants to go for a walk. There he goes.
Putting his best foot forward there.
Notice how the experimenter lifts the baboon by his left shoulder and continues to apply pressure to it, even though later we hear him say that the shoulder may be dislocated.
Much will hold his own weight up. There's no coordination here at all, though. As can be seen, the animal will spring up and get out of his playpen by himself. There's definitely a minimum of coordination here. You can see the animal has a pretty impressive grasp.
I didn't
He's
get that.
picking up the chair. Very strong monkey.
Move him back a little bit, Robert. It's a little too close, I think, to get. I need to pan back a little
Here,
bit.
you can see that. This is one of the better demonstrations of the grasp response these monkeys have. So much for that. This animal does have impressive grasps. The animal is just holding on to one finger on either side. This guy could be a chin-up champion here. Look at this. The animal is extremely strong.
Gymnastic teams can use him.
I'm going to try a macro in on the eyes.
We'll have to bring him up.
I don't really detect any motor abnormality. There's a question, I don't know if you can see here, there's a bump on this animal's shoulder. And this is either a shoulder dislocation or there's a, well, that's a good picture, Tom. You can see the animal does make a few noises. There's a good view of his eyes. The peculiar left eye abnormality. There's the animal looking to his left. The animal looking to his right.
Okay.
I think that's pretty good.
Dr. Morrison defends the practices of the head injury clinic.
The animal is down for a second lateral bang. That's him waving. As you can see, the monkey's awake, moving all extremities. That's his trainer who taught him how to do those tricks. The animal is mounted in a helmet. He's monitored for ICP, EKG, EEG, blood pressure, etc. The animal is to be thrust in the lateral position to become a chronic animal for long-term studies.
You might want to mention that this monkey's already been banged once.
I said that, second bang.
Did you say
This
that?
is the animal's second bang. He was banged once at 680 G force and quickly recovered. Cheerleading over in the corner, we have B10. B10 wishes his counterpart well. As you can see, B10 is alive. B10 is watching and hoping for a good result. Future B17 over here.
Yeah.
After taking 10 years to develop equipment designed to deliver precise injury, experimenters now add an unknown variable. They inflict multiple, inexact blows to the freshly damaged brain by using a hammer and screwdriver to remove the helmet.
the slip.
We could run a diet service. You bring them in, slam them, put them in bed. It's Tebow's weight reduction clinic.
According to scientists in the field, these blows can invalidate the results of the experiment. Hammering can also interfere with measurements of ICP, intracranial pressure, measurements which are vital to this experiment.
Come in and they'll be running around in the lab. They're very concealed. Booney's the only one we know.
Take our chances. So we can tell me the things I've been to.
Look, he's moving. He's moving. Look, see? He moves.
No, he's doesn't breathe.
We had this little string on its tail that we just pull it. Push. It's a boy.
Some animals receive up to 160 hammer blows at a time, yet the delivery of these extra blows is not revealed in the researchers' grant applications.
We're thinking of going on strike. In our contract, it says no more than 3 comatose boonies at any one time. That's in the contract.
I can hear it through.
Oh.
According to the NIH guide, a facility designed for sterile surgery, such as this, needs to be maintained in such a manner as to ensure its cleanliness. A 1984 Department of Agriculture inspection of this laboratory showed many sanitation and other violations of the Animal Welfare Act.
Why? Because they're basically incompetent down here. Well, I mean, just in general, our procedures are dust. They're not regular in their cleaning at all, and I've called them 3 times. When they do clean, it's half-assed. Lately, the ventilation system's been spewing out some sort of dust. It's a type of thing that I complain about, but I mean, you come down here, it smells like urine. I mean,
Oh, look at that root. We had about a month's worth of urine at the bottom of that thing.
it's not the word for it. Urine asphyxiation.
And we had to get her out of that. She was just filling it up to her buckets of urine at the bottom.
In violation of the NIH guide, experimenters in this laboratory repeatedly fail to perform sterile surgery. Although this researcher is wearing gloves, the surgery can in no way be considered sterile, as no mask, gown, cap, or surgical drapes are used, and the researcher not only rests his surgical instrument on the baboon's unshaven chest, but places the instrument back in the baboon's head after he drops it to the floor. Again, in violation of the NIH guide, these experimenters smoke continually at the operating table, not only before the animals are injured, but while they're being injured, after they suffer injury, and while the researchers perform surgery. Smoking can distort the very subtle microvasculature changes which the researchers are paid to accurately record. These experimenters are also violating Pennsylvania state law, which prohibits smoking in the vicinity of bottled oxygen and nitrous oxide, both highly dangerous gases in use in this room.
What's his breathing doing, Randy?
While the experimenter on the far side of the table lights up a cigarette, the student working on the monkey comments that he has 3 months to learn neurosurgery.
Good job.
You gotta stop eating boards.
Huh?
You gotta stop eating boards. Jeez. You gotta learn all this shit all over again. These guys don't teach us nothing. Then it comes to the last 3 months, you gotta learn neurosurgery.
This monkey may die outright as a result of further brain damage. If not, he will be killed by an injection of formaldehyde into his brain, or by having his brain frozen and then being decapitated. Anesthesia is not required by law for such procedures, and there is no mention of its administration in these researchers' protocols. This animal was never seen by representatives of local animal welfare groups, whose requests to visit the head injury clinic were repeatedly denied. The university also refused to permit an investigation of cruelty complaints by duly empowered SPCA law enforcement officials.
3, 2, 1.
The animal has just sustained his injury.
In violation of the NIH guide, a baboon has been left unattended after receiving brain injury. Much later, a student, the only person in the laboratory, discovers that the animal is dying.
Come on, monkey, hang in there just a little while longer, baby. What the goddamn problem is with this?
Experimenters' carelessness also results in broken teeth and other injuries. Here, one baboon loses part of his ear to the hammer.
Sound like I left a little ear behind.
An experimenter ties this injured, conscious baboon to the operating table as he prepares to leave.
Oh, have some axonal damage though, monkey, else we wasted $500 worth of HRP on you. That's right, sucker. Closer, just the monkey in the street interview. Don't be shy now, sir. Nothing to be afraid of.
See what's going on here.
She doesn't look the least bit
There she goes. There she goes. She's on TV.
Oh my God.
Holding her monkey.
Look, yeah!
No, go.
Just like the cat. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Look at the cat commercial.
Say over here. Say cheese.
Looks like she's gonna fall in.
Here.
You better hope the anti-vivisection people don't get a hold of this film.
The who?
The anti-vivisection people, they got a nice shot of you.
Why don't you
They got Larry's name
for
in the picture.
and Karen? Now look. Yeah, looks like it's that part on the gun.
Right.
Some part you got there.
Has the punk look.
The punk look, is that what you said?
Friend, gun dread.
Wants to shake hands. Come on. Oh, not again.
He says, "You're gonna rescue me from this, aren't you? Aren't you?" He says, "You're gonna rescue me from this, aren't you? Aren't you?"
These experiments at the University of Pennsylvania are being paid for by you, the taxpayer. These experimenters are now applying for even more federal funding. If you are concerned about what you have just seen, please contact your congressional representatives today and insist that they take action.